With transfer fees getting out of hand, footballers are running down their contracts to get transfer fees into their own hands via signing on bonuses. And in the summer of 2025, we're about to see some of the best players in the world become free agents. We're going to look at the 11 best players who will become free to negotiate with other teams from January the 1st. And stick around until the end as I'll explain exactly why this is a sign of things to come. So, first up we have the German giant Manuel Neuer. He's won it all with Germany and Bayern Munich, and his arrogance in between the sticks is second to none. His 2014 vintage season was arguably one of the best goalkeeping seasons we've ever seen. And at 38, he still demonstrates his ability to make point-blank saves that will blow your mind. Bayern Munich do have Alexander Nubel at Stuttgart waiting to step up, so it seems highly likely that they'll part ways with the 38-year-old. And after the career he's had, he might decide to call it a day, or have one final payout in Saudi Arabia. Next we have one of, if not the best right back in world football at the moment. The thought that he could leave Liverpool on a free is astonishing, and it stinks of poor planning. However, I can't help but think his head's been turned by Real Madrid, and Trent's recent interviews have been fairly cryptic. Liverpool letting a player of his quality leave, especially being an academy talent, would be a huge blow. But when Real Madrid come knocking, who can say no? So Liverpool really need to get a move on before January 1st arrives. If you thought Liverpool losing Trent would be bad, how about losing their colossal captain too? Losing Virgil van Dijk would be nothing short of a disaster. They signed him from Southampton for 75 million, which felt like a lot at the time, but Virgil van Dijk has established himself as one of the leading centre-backs, and whilst he's 33 and getting old, you can't underestimate his influence in the dressing room. Even if Liverpool just renewed his contract but rested him a bit more frequently, similar to what Chelsea did with John Terry, they kept him around the dressing room even though he wasn't playing towards the back end of his career, because he was such a huge part of the club's DNA, and he was a leader. So I think it would be a bit of a miss if Liverpool were to let him leave for free. Jonathan Tah is next on the list. He's coming off a season where he went unbeaten at Bayer Leverkusen. He was desperate to join Bayern Munich in the summer, but Xabi Alonso wasn't having any of it. I'd be shocked if Munich didn't come back in for him, but if they don't, there'll be plenty of other suitors sniffing around. Next is the Canadian wonder kid Alphonso Davies, who's long been considered one of the best left backs in the world. Bayern seem resigned to losing him, and it seems that they've reached a little bit of a contract stalemate. And surprise surprise, Real Madrid are lurking in the shadows, waiting to make a move for him. If they're able to get Trent and Alphonso Davies, we might as well just pack our bags up and call it quits. Another Bayern player on the list is Kimmich. And after a terrible season under Thomas Tuchel, he looks revitalised under Vincent Kompany, and they'll be desperate to keep him. But with Barca, City and Real Madrid interested again, his head might be turned. Next on the list we have Angel Gomez. He's a name that's become more and more popular since getting his England debut. The former London-born Manchester United player won't be short of potential suitors when his contract runs down, and Lille will be furious that they've allowed this to happen. The final midfielder on the list is Kevin De Bruyne, the best midfielder in the Premier League for the past few seasons, and he's heavily been linked to Saudi, and that seems to be his preferred destination. And after sustaining more and more injuries, letting him go and replacing him with a younger, more fit midfielder doesn't seem like such a crazy idea. Next we have Leroy Sané. The former Man City man has been cast aside since Bayern signed Elise, so he'll be looking for a move. And he's also the fourth Bayern Munich player on the list, so not a great look from the board to allow this to happen. And he also holds good market value, so this is a bit of a big financial blunder. On the other wing slot we have Mo Salah, the Egyptian king, and Liverpool's third free agent on the list, and maybe the most influential. He's been their main man ever since he signed for them, and he was subject to a rumoured 200 million bid during the Saudi League's 2023 splurge. And in hindsight, it looks like that was a great offer considering the looming alternative. Liverpool really can't afford to lose their three best players on free transfers, can they? This is madness. The final slot in the team goes to Heung-min Son, and 2 summers after losing Harry Kane, Spurs could be in more pain if they allow Son to go. He's truly a world-class player, and they'd be mad to let him go. But it's a travesty that a player so good hasn't won any trophies in his career, so I imagine the 32-year-old would want to correct that before it's too late. So that's the final 11 you can see on screen there. And you might be wondering, why is this happening? Why are there so many high value players running down their contracts? Well, Arsene Wenger actually predicted this a few years ago, and if you think about it, it makes sense. With PSR showing their teeth and docking teams points, and other leagues just struggling for broadcasting revenue and revenue generally, it seems more and more rare to see these blockbuster transfer fees. Chelsea aside, but we'll talk about them in another video. So for the top players, it makes sense to run down their contracts so they can leave on a free. Which club could really buy Mbappe when he was under contract at PSG? Not many. And even if they could, how much would that cost? And is it worth it? Especially in this PSR world. So it makes sense for Mbappe to run down his contract, get more money into his own bank account, and sign for the team he wants. And maybe that's not the honourable move, but as a player looking after your career and your future, you can kind of see why they do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to keep you up with more football stories, or you can watch another video instead.